everyone, and welcome to Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. In this, our February 13th, 2023 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including Supergirl and Zod in the latest trailer for the Flash movie. We're going to be talking about the Legion of Superheroes animated film that's out now, the upcoming Justice League RWBY crossover anime film, whatever that is. We're going to be talking about the lack of comic books this week and so much more. We're also going to turn to you to ask for your questions and comments on any particular Superman topic you would like to discuss, and to let you know how all that works and how you can get involved in tonight's show. Let me introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Michael Bailey. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Doing well, and yourself?
Well, I was going to wear a Batman shirt tonight because apparently Batman's got to be in everything. But no, I figured, a Superman shirt would be fine. No, I'm doing fine. But no one wants to hear about me. They may want to hear my opinions, but probably not about me. But what they do want to hear about is Superman, because Superman Homepage Live is all about the Man of Steel. And what we want to hear from is the people watching us live right now across the many social platforms that we are now streaming live across. And to do that, it's really simple. Go to supermanhomepage.com/live and press the call now button. And it's really cool because you'll be put in the green room and you can still watch the show, but we just can't hear you yet. If you are watching and you're like, I don't want to do that through my computer, I want to do that through my phone. Well, we've got the QR code because everything is a QR code now. You just scan that. Now, if you're going to use the QR code to call into the show, one thing, and this is really important, please have a headset in. I don't care if it's AirPods, headset, whatever. You could have that thing like truckers have where it's like this huge, like freaking headset. I don't know why that is, but whatever. Because if you don't, it makes this weird crackling sound that we still can't figure out. But there.
Yep, and there's a bit of a delay, so sometimes it's a little bit weird. We can hear you back with with your speakers if you don't use headsets. So yeah, please use headphones if you decide to get on the show tonight. But if you're a little bit shy and don't want to get on the phone or the camera to be with us tonight on the show, then feel free to comment right there in our various platforms, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're across all of them tonight. Feel free to comment. Michael and I will be able to react to those as the show goes along. Post your comments, your questions, anything you might have in that comments area, and we'll react to them. Or you could, on YouTube, use the super chat. That's a little dollar symbol there beneath the video on YouTube. A slider will appear on your screen. You decide on the dollar amount you're willing to donate. We will feature your comment or question live on the screen as we go to air. There's also super thanks and super stickers if you want to check those out as well. And thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. We appreciate your support. You can join those folks in supporting the show. Simply click the join button there on YouTube or go to patreon.com/Superman homepage. Well, Mike, thankfully this week, the big news that seems to have gone across the world of superheroes didn't drop the day after our show. It kind of was a couple of days before or the day before during the Super Bowl game, the halftime ads, the latest trailer for The Flash dropped and was online as well. And Supergirl is featured heavily in the trailer.
Yes.
Clark gets a mention. We kind of figure it. Zod's in there, played by what is his name?
Michael Shannon.
Michael Shannon, yes. Sasha Calle playing Supergirl, of course. What did you think of the trailer? I mean, we probably can't play the whole thing here because of copyright reasons, but I'll play a little bit of the Supergirl part of it in a second. But your thoughts?
It complicated, in all honesty, because when I first saw it, when Michael Keaton said, "I'm Batman," I was just like, I'm 13 again. I'm 13 again, sitting in a theater watching, the biggest movie of the summer, of the summer unfolding on the screen. And then I started thinking about it, and the first thought I had was, this is a me problem, not a movie problem. I'm tired of Flashpoint
Yeah.
as a story. However, this movie isn't geared for me. It is geared for people who like to go see the DC movies or just like to go see movies about superheroes in general, they may not be sick of Flashpoint. They may not have watched the episodes of The Flash that dealt with it. So I realize, on that level, it's not something that I can critique the trailer for.
Yeah.
I really liked Supergirl, or what we saw of her. I'm fascinated that they are using the absence of Kal-El and General Zod. Why is General Zod? My wife asked a good question. Why is General Zod coming to Earth if it's not Kal-El? Because it was Kal-El activating the ship that sent the beacon out. I'm sure they'll explain that, maybe. But I like the idea that the invasion is happening and Superman isn't here to stop them, so they had to find somebody else. It looks interesting. Ezra Miller's involvement is problematic. They have a lot of issues, and I'm seeing a lot of people saying they're going to refuse to see the movie in the theater because of that. I guess overall I liked it. And I know that was a little bit up and down, but I did enjoy it, and I like the way the Supergirl costume looks. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, they're using the whole Subject One type of storyline in relation to Supergirl. She's obviously been captured and has been kept prisoner in Cadmus by the looks of the shirts and things that we're seeing that she's in. And Batman, played by Michael Keaton, and Ezra Miller's two versions of the Flash that are in this film go to rescue her. There's the Supergirl poster that they've released specifically for Sasha Calle's Supergirl, which is my background tonight, which I thought was an awesome poster. And the other ones that they released were obviously one there for The Flash and the other one for Michael Keaton's Batman. So June 16th, this film comes out. But yeah, I've been showing you some of the snapshots from the trailer that were focused on Supergirl and General Zod. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how General Zod does come to Earth and why he finds Earth. It may just be that he stumbles across it because he's out there exploring the universe anyway, or something happens, Cadmus does something that triggers some kind of a beacon that, in whatever ship Kara came from, whether it's the scout ship that she was been here for the longest time, or whatever the case might be. Zod comes, but as you said, there's no Superman to stop him, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I do want to touch on the comments that I've seen on social media across the board in relation to people's reactions to this version of Supergirl. They're saying, who's this short-haired brunette? That's not Supergirl. That's not comic accurate. I am sick of the phrase comic book accurate. It just shows your ignorance at having not read enough comic books, because there are comic books where this is very accurate, because there are comic book stories where there have been versions of Supergirl that look exactly like what Sasha Calle looks like in the movie, in the trailer. So I'm sick of people saying, oh, that's not comic book accurate. It is. Just read more comic book stories, because there are comic books where versions of Supergirl look like this.
And more to the point, Flash never wore a costume like Ezra Miller did in Justice League. Superman's costume wasn't comic book accurate. There were no trunks. It wasn't a yellow belt. It was a complete redesign of it. They're going for a different look for Kara. I think it's a good move. We had 6 seasons of Melissa Benoist. I almost said Belissa Benoist, and I don't know why I did that. But I like. It's really funny what gets in up people's craws. And I know some people are just complaining just to complain, and some people are complaining because they have YouTube channels where that's they monetize that anger. Even my dogs are really upset about it, apparently. But it's just she looks great. Costume looks great. You had a red super character flying alongside a Batwing in live action. I mean, this is really cool. And Virginia and Mike Zumo in the chat do bring up a good point that you're kind of punishing the other actors for the behavior of one. And this is a complicated, kind of nuanced argument. It's not binary to me. It's the same with writer Gerard Jones, who several years ago pled guilty. I don't know exactly what the charges were, but it
Mm.
was basically pictures of underage kids wearing no clothes. And DC like basically canceled, or didn't go forward with more of his like Green Lantern run getting reprinted, and some of his Justice League stuff got held up. And basically, it's we don't want to, pay this guy in
Mm.
royalties for reprinting his thing. Well, what about the artists? What about the other people in that book who drew or were part of those books that are now not getting a check because of this jerk?
Mm.
It's just it's like one of those things where I get why I'm not making light of it. I get why people are upset.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and I have some pretty strong feelings about it myself. I probably won't see it in the theater because we just don't go to the theater that much. My wife, who loves me a lot, apparently, because she's like, we can go see it on my birthday. And I'm like, I'm not going to subject you to that on your birthday. That's not fair. But no, like when it hits HBO Max, I'll be there because you got Ben Affleck as Batman and Michael Keaton as Batman, and it's probably going to be like one of those things with Crisis on the CW where we're going to see a bunch of stuff that's not in the
Mm.
trailers that
Yeah,
are just going to
exactly.
be amazing.
A lot of cameos and
So
things. I wonder if we'll see the Flash from the TV series crossover like they did in the Crisis on the TV show
I
with Ezra Miller,
I kind of hope I really hope they do. I
Grant
honestly hope
Gustin.
they do because that was one of those moments in the CW Crisis where I was laying on the couch wondering if I was hallucinating
Yeah, it
because it
would be
just
cool
seemed
if
so
Grant
far
Gustin
fetched,
showed up.
and they and it just basically like, oh, you did the thing where you tried to save your mom. Yeah, that never works out well. Um, I gotta agree with something you said though, and I think you said it. Unless again I'm hallucinating through this show. If Sasha, what is her last name?
Sasha
I'm
Calais.
sorry, Calais. If she does a fantastic job and like she is like one of the bright spots of the film, it is going to be terrible that this is her one shot because that's not fair. If she's popular and people respond to her, you gotta go with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking like a wider audience because again, this movie is built for a wider audience. It's
Yes.
got a lot of stuff for comic book fans. But if you want to guarantee a bunch of freaking Gen Xers are going to show up, you put Michael Keaton as Batman in the film.
Yeah. And this is a multiverse film. You've got two versions of Barry roaming around together at the same time. It screams multiverse. I mean, you get that from the trailer
Yeah.
straight away. So there will be versions of Supergirl, Superman, Flash, Batman that are different to the classic looks that you're used to seeing. It doesn't mean that they're not valid versions. So, like, it just annoys me that people are so narrow-minded in that I mean, it's not like this then, and and even if they were saying this is the Supergirl and the only Supergirl, you could live with it. But it's a multiverse film, so I don't understand
Yeah.
why they're just not on board with or can't get over that. It just doesn't look like the Supergirl, the blonde-haired, long-haired Supergirl that they're used to seeing from iconic classic looks. I mean, this is a different version of the character. Get on board or just shut up.
Yeah. No, it's just I'm tired of this kind of obsessive nitpickery
Yes.
that goes on. We've been talking about this for a long time. These movies are not made for us. They're not. I wish they were. It would be nice. We get some shout outs, and I'm sure going to us to go see the film, but you're not going to put millions of dollars into a film, like hundreds of millions of dollars into a film, hoping that a few thousand people show up.
Yeah.
You you want bunches and bunches of people. You want Titanic numbers to go and see that film. And the way you do that is you make it big and you put in things that people are familiar with, and you know the well has been pumped for multiversal stories because we've been just seeing them all over the place.
Yep.
So I'm waiting for the think pieces on how this is just ripping off Doctor Strange, the second Doctor Strange film, but that's probably just going to happen.
So, yeah, people saying the Quest Gaming Network said, I hear you, and it would be one thing if we got our normal Supergirl first, but we haven't, so I get the criticism. But that's the point of this film. It's not the normal anything. It's a multiverse film. There is no normal Supergirl in this universe. And what is normal anyway? Because, is it a skirt version wearing Supergirl? Is it Kara from, from Krypton? Is it Kara from Argo? Is it Kara? There's been different versions from the animated series that weren't necessarily his cousin. But so there's just so many versions out there. But for people to say it's not the normal version, what does that mean?
And again, the Supergirl series really isn't that far in the rear view. And yeah, that's probably not, you know, the show didn't do movie numbers. Otherwise, it would probably still be on in some form. But we had 6 years of a pretty traditional Supergirl. So,
and even then, she didn't wear the traditional costume the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, she got pants, thankfully, because it's cold.
So anyway, the Flash film comes out. When does it come out? June 16th. So we've a little bit of time to wait, but not far. And I'm sure we'll see more trailers. There's already been a TV spot. So yes, looking forward to seeing what they do with this upcoming the Flash film. It's there's going to be more things out there that we don't know about it. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing this film. I probably didn't want to see it in the theater before this trailer. I thought, like you, I'll probably watch it when it comes out, but on TV or what have you, on a streaming service. But now with Supergirl and Zod and and how much they've been featured in the trailer, I think it's a go see in the theater.
Yeah, it really kicks it up for our side of the universe. Especially bringing Michael Shannon back. That's just kind of fascinating. I guess the script was intriguing enough for him to do that.
Yeah.
I saw somebody today saying, they got so much mileage out of his Zod in the various DC films, and they really did. I agree with Mike Zumo, by the way. Yeah, we should bring in the Matrix Supergirl. Just mess with everybody. Just have somebody punch her in the face and her face turn to goo, and everyone's like, what in the hell is going on?
Protoplasm. Very cool. Yes, that's a deep cut right there. All right. So James Gunn, co-CEO of DC Studios, revealed this week that he has been in contact with Zack Snyder regarding the upcoming slate of DC films, and Snyder said that he's happy. He's on board with what they're doing and wishes them all the best. And he also, James Gunn, commented on the whole Netflix thing. People with this hashtag out there, let Netflix buy Zack Snyder's, the Snyderverse or whatever you, and let them take it on board. He said, look, Netflix hasn't expressed any interest in anything like that. And Zack hasn't expressed any interest in that either, and seems to be happy doing what he's doing, which is he's doing 2 current Star Wars projects, Rebel Moon 2-parter thing. So yeah, it's like I like the fact that Gunn is kind of answering these ideas and responding to them, although I think it's a bit of a waste of his time because it just kind of drives these people to say, well, we're getting attention, let's keep going.
Yeah, and Mind the Gap points out in the chats that James Gunn did write one of the early drafts for the Dawn of the Dead film. It was rewritten by the time they filmed it, but their names have been shared on movie credits before. When I saw the rundown, I was like, you wrote James Gunn has spoken to Zack Snyder, and I'm like, you know what, this shouldn't be news. This should this just shouldn't be news. Like, two people are adults and had a conversation. That's news apparently to these people, because apparently Zack Snyder is supposed to hate James Gunn, and they're supposed to be at war, like it's like professional wrestling or something. No, it's a movie studio.
Yep.
Look, if Warner Brothers wanted Zack Snyder, they could probably get Zack Snyder. They don't want Zack Snyder. They, and as James Gunn said, he's off doing his thing. Probably a lot happier because he doesn't have a bunch of people forming a cult around him. Or maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe they're following him to this movie and he's just happy with that.
Yeah, maybe. And good luck to him if that's the case. If he's got his
Yeah.
diehard followers and they'll do and follow whatever he does, then that's fantastic. Good luck to him. He's created quite a fan base, but he's not the be-all and end-all of Superman films or DC films. There are other directors and writers and creators out there that are equally as good, if not better. So looking forward to seeing what happens with the upcoming Superman Legacy film, which will be out July 11th, 2025, so we believe. So Fingers crossed. It does end up being a great film. We're looking forward to where the DC universe progresses after The Flash, because obviously that's going to be doing a kind of a reset of the timeline and what universe and how the whole Flashpoint thing. So looking forward to seeing just what the state of the universe is after that film finishes.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, this past week I did manage to watch the new Legion of Superheroes animated movie, the latest offering from Warner Brothers Discovery Home Entertainment. This is, in my opinion, should have been titled Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes, because it is very much a Supergirl film and a Brainiac 5 film that kind of co-stars the Legion of Superheroes.
No, this isn't the first time they did that. When they did the Superman Batman animated film adapting the Supergirl storyline, they called it Armageddon or something like that. So why did they call it Supergirl then? I am going to watch this at some point because it does look fun.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see, what Legion lore they adapt into this. But they got bouncing boys, so they got that going for them.
Yep, and arms fall off boy or kid, whatever he is.
Yep, and Dawnstar and Invisible Kid 2. That would be the second Invisible Kid. I'm probably the only one in the film. And the big bad, is Brainiac. So this is a super movie with featuring the Legion of Superheroes. I don't know if they're trying to like build up the Legion of Superheroes name. I don't know. I'm not quite sure why they chose to just call it Legion of Superheroes, because Supergirl and Legion of Superheroes is a good name for a title, and they could have brought back the title that was Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes from right after Infinite Crisis.
Yeah, exactly. It is great. It's a good film. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's entertaining. It's definitely not a kids' film. There are, there's a little bit of language, but there's definitely some brutal action. And Brainiac, as you said, the big bad of the film, is very horrific in his look. And there is, as I said, some pretty brutal action. So well worth seeing. It's entertaining. It's action-packed. It's got a lot of drama and emotion to it as well. I like that with Supergirl. I like the fact that they've differentiated her from Superman. She's not a clone of Superman. She's not a female version of Superman. She's her own character because she's come to Earth having grown up on Krypton and lamenting its demise, where Superman never really knew Krypton and doesn't really miss anything about his planet, where in this story, Kara very much misses not just her family and the world she grew up in, but the technology and how advanced it was, which is why Superman suggests that she go to the future and go to the 31st century, because she is really a fish out of water in 21st century Earth and is struggling with the way the world works and the way it operates. So yeah, it is a good vehicle for Supergirl, and she's not as angry as she has been in the comic book stories, where she's just always, you know, punching first and asking questions later. She's a little bit like that, but not to that degree. And I think it's a great vehicle for Kara as a character in this animated universe that they've created.
That sounds really good. I'm looking forward to seeing it eventually.
Yeah. So check it out. The Legion of Superheroes, the latest animated movie from Warner Brothers Animation, is available. Was released on February 7th. It's available on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray Combo Pack, Blu-ray, and digital. You can purchase it through our website. Just head to supermanhomepage.com. You'll see my full review up on the website as well, and the links are there. So please check that out. Now, another animated movie that Warner Brothers has just promoted or started to promote is Justice League RWBY, Superheroes and Huntsmen Part 1. Have a look at the trailer.
Where am I? What am I wearing? What are those things?
Grim!
I don't think I'm in Kansas anymore.
A princess. From another world. And no memory of how you got here.
This is Remnant.
We weren't teenagers before this, right? Vixen.
I am so happy to see you too.
I hated being a teen the first time around. Justice League, meet Ruby, Yang, and Blake.
And these are our friends. John, Nora, and Ren.
Now, that's just some of it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't know the RWBY characters. I'm not into the anime series by Rooster Teeth Animation. The fact that the Justice League are de-aged when they head into this crossover is weird. There are younger superheroes, so I don't know why they just didn't choose them, but what did you make of it?
Not for me. There was nothing about it that made me go, I really want to watch that. And again, these things have their fans, and I never want to sit here and dump on something just because I don't like it. I dislike it, therefore it should not exist. That seems to be a poor way to look at
pretty much
any kind of media. I mean, if people are a big fan of RWBY, this will probably get them really excited. I just have no interest.
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand that Warner Brothers bought out the RWBY franchise and is looking to try to make the most of what they've purchased and promote it as hard as they can, and crossing it over with the Justice League would make sense on that side of things, because you can try to get fans who maybe have never heard of RWBY and maybe bring them into the fold. It just baffles me that it would be enough for a two-parter. So this is part one, and there's another second part coming down the line. It just, maybe we're too old. Maybe we're just not the target audience for this for RWBY, for an anime project. But like you said, I'm sure there are people out there who are keen for this and eager to see it. The people who are in our comments, saying pass or not really interested, but I'm guessing there are fans out there for this thing, and I hope it sells well for them and does well for them. But I'll check it out at some point, especially if Warner Brothers wants to give me a freebie for reviewing purposes. I'll happily check it out, but I won't be spending money on this one.
Yeah, and it was like the Catwoman film. I didn't spend money on it. I did see it, but I didn't have to pay for a ticket, which was kind of nice.
Mm-hmm. So Justice League RWBY, Superheroes and Huntsmen Part 1 is available April 25th. Don't know when Part 2 will happen, but we'll keep you appraised of these updates as they come to hand. Interesting that they've put a couple of bonus items on there, including kid stuff, the Justice League Unlimited episode, and Plastic Man saves the world from Justice League Action.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I would have seen that episode. I guess I probably can stream it somewhere, but yeah,
yes,
just
definitely.
Plastic Man is just great.
Yeah, especially on Justice League Action. It's a fun series that doesn't get enough love.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you
That's
put
what
something on
happens.
Cartoon Network.
Yes, and they put it on 1 a.m. in the morning. All right, we're going to quickly take a break, play some messages, come back on the flip side to do This Week in History, as well as our fan favorite segment of our show. And then we're going to be talking about the lack of comic book material at the moment for Superman fans and so much more. We'll be back after this. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program, just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/Superman Homepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Bomer. I'm the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
Delicious.
And dangerous. First, never touch any appliance without a parent's supervision, and always be careful with kitchen appliances. Keep their cords out of your way and your fingers out of their way. Also, always turn pot handles in, away from the edge of the stove.
So nobody bumps into them and gets hurt.
Now you're cooking.
Some handy tips, safety tips there from Superman.
I think she was cooking before Superman. It's just now she's cooking safely.
Yes.
I mean, there's a difference there.
Now you're cooking. Very good. Before we get into the next segment, I wanted to mention the fact that Brendan Fraser appeared on the Howard Stern show this past week, where he discussed almost being cast to play Superman. As you might remember, back in 2002, J.J. Abrams had written a script titled Superman Flyby, which was in development, and Brett Ratner was on as director, and he was doing some casting, and eventually then Bryan Singer came on and did Superman Returns instead, but Brendan Fraser recalls his failed audition attempt to play Superman and why he actually wasn't sure if he actually wanted the part. Here's a little bit of that interview.
Is the role that got away from you when you were going to be cast as Superman? I think it's when J.J. Abrams was in charge of the Superman franchise. Someone had approached you about being Superman, and then suddenly it was taken away from you. Is that correct?
Everyone in town was reading for Superman. Like again, we're testing, I think, maybe 6 or 7 guys in 2002, 3.
Who are the guys? Who was being tested? Do you remember?
I remember Paul Walker was before me. They were like, the usual suspects. So, of course, it's a life-changing, amazing opportunity, but I had to reconcile with, okay, say you do get the job to be the Man of Steel, it's going to be chipped on your gravestone. Are you okay with that? I mean,
right.
forever.
So there's Brendan Fraser talking about,
Yeah.
did he really want to be typecast or, remembered only as Superman, which I guess is always a bit of an issue. I think Henry Cavill's done really well with The Witcher and, other projects where he's kind of playing Sherlock Holmes. He's kind of not just Superman anymore.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I remember when the rumors about Brendan Fraser being up for the role were plastered all over the Superman homepage. As a matter of fact, and on paper it's a good fit. Kind of a big guy. If you watch George of the Jungle, he can obviously get himself into good physical shape.
Yep.
But he's got a point where you're not playing a character, you're playing a cultural icon.
Yeah.
That people, I don't know if you've seen the internet, people have opinions about Superman. Gonna shock the heck out of everybody on that one. But there's no flies on me. I've noticed it. I just, it's just kind of interesting.
You just have an active imagination. You just get carried away sometimes.
It's entirely true. You threw me off with that, but that was very funny. I like that.
Haven't thrown in one of those for a long time.
Yeah, I was about to say it's been a while. No, I just feel for him because he was it was like what was it? He mentioned Paul Walker. Who was the other guy? The dude from Pearl Harbor.
Yes, not Army Hammer.
Josh
Harnett. What's his name? Someone will tell us.
Yeah, somebody Josh in the people in the chat will come through on that. But no, it's just I could see Brendan Fraser having an existential crisis.
Yes,
wanting to play the character.
Yeah, no, I totally understand where he's coming from in that case. All right, we're going to jump into This Week in History. So here's your intro, Michael.
Come with me now, my son, as we break through the bonds of your earthly confinement, traveling through time and space.
Josh Hartnett.
Kind of Josh Hartnett. Yes, there we go. See, that's why I like our audience. We're going to start 1943 this time out with Action Comics number 59. This is the one that's been kind of hovering with me. It's Superman, fighting Nazis, which is okay. There's nothing offensive about the Japanese on the cover, which I think is a bonus as well. Jumping ahead to 1963, we have Superboy number 104. Wow, that kid is just pasting Superboy. Hitting his head on the brick. Plus an untold story of the Phantom Zone. That same week, Superman's Girlfriend, Lois Lane, number 40 came out.
Wow.
Man, there's a lot to unpack about this cover. No one wants to pay attention to me because I'm old now. Though, to be fair, there was a comic in the 70s where Superman was telling Lana that he didn't have feelings with her and actually brought Lois out, which I thought was kind of a jerk thing to do. Jumping ahead to 1973, we have the reprint title Legion of Superheroes. This was number 3. Superboy was on the cover because it reprints the Computo storyline. You also had World's Finest number 217, which is that's wow.
That's full on.
That's that's the most interesting composite Superman I've ever seen. Even though it's apparently Metamorpho. Wow, he really didn't want to be part of the Justice League. Jumping ahead to 1983, speaking of Supergirl, Daring New Adventures of Supergirl, number 7. I really got to get this series out and read it at some point. I have the trades, both physical and digital. I'm just kind of fascinated by it. Paul Kupperberg wrote that, and I think he really tried to do something with the character in a book that I think was brought out to try to coincide with the movie. 1993, we actually have a book to talk about. It's not a comic book per se, but it is the Superman Gallery, which has a lot of really great pinups in it.
Yeah,
most of it in this, most of this one is like reused artwork, which isn't a bad thing. The second one that came out in '95 had a lot more original artwork. In 2003, this was weird. I'd forgotten apparently that this book got delayed. Action Comics number 800.
Yeah.
Nice anniversary issue. That was a good anniversary issue. Joe Kelly really just kind of dove into the character and made the most out of, the anniversary aspect of it. But that same week, you also had Adventures of Superman number 613, which had Funky Flashman on the cover. If you're not familiar with Funky Flashman, he's a DC character from the 70s that Jack Kirby created to troll Stan Lee. Not even kidding on that. That's exactly who that was supposed to be. We also had Superman and Batman Generations 3, number 2. Yeah, that happened. I love that it's the 20th century and it's actually in the 21st century. Usually those future stories don't take place in the same thing. 2013, this one, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. Amakami Girls? Amakami Girls, I guess. Featuring Supergirl number 5. I've never read this. I just saw that it had Supergirl in it, so I figured we should talk about it. Also, that was the time when Arrow was all over the covers.
Yes.
We also have Superboy number 17. Still in Hell on Earth. Yep, that keeps happening, doesn't it? Yeah, we're just gonna move on. The Real World.
Michael seems to have frozen. Hopefully he comes back in a sec. So, but yeah, in the Real World, we had Joanne Siegel, the wife of Jerry Siegel, who was the model that he used to create Lois Lane, based Lois Lane on. I believe she passed away this week. Let me get my notes out so I can see what's happening. But yeah, she passed away this week, back in, quite a few years ago now, but I'll have to double check my calendar on that. Let's see here. Died on February 12th in 2011, age 93. So she had not a bad life. Also this week, we had longtime Superman artist Kurt Swan was born February 17th in 1920. Remember here, that's Kurt Swan there. And also on this day, February 12th, also this week, February 12th, we mark the debut of the Superman radio serial, which debuted February 12th, 1940. So there is this week in history. Hopefully we'll get Michael back in a second. But that was this week in history. So thank you for Michael for remembering all those. So let's try and get Michael back ASAP. He'll call back in a second and rejoin the show. But that was this week in history. All right, we're going to jump straight into the fan favorite segment of our show. So I'm going to jump straight into the intro for that. He's back. I finished it off for you.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I don't know what happened.
So yes, we went through the rest of the this week in history, and now jumping into the fan favorite segment of our show. Michael, what was our question from last week?
What was your favorite thing about the All-Star Superman comic book series? J.P. Rocha wrote, "My favorite part of the All-Star Superman is Jimmy Olsen and his weird Silver Age adventures."
Let me just quickly grab the graphics for that. There we go.
Yep.
There's Jimmy from the series. So, thank you for that response. All right, jumping in. Next up, we had, if I can find my notes for this. Where are we? There we go. We've got, next up, we had Alex Regaldo, who Alex wrote in and said, I understand All-Star Superman issue number 10 has one page that is probably the most popular image for the series, deservedly so, but issue 10 also has other moments that capture the magic of the series. Superman frees the Kandorians, uses to use cure cancer for children, leaves the formula to create Superman 2 and creates Earth Q. So many great ideas are in every issue. The series still surprises me. Even a year ago, Grant Morrison revealed that the scientist from the future who warned Superman about Solaris is in fact the great-grandson of Regan, the same girl he saves, showing that Superman's kindness found its way back to helping himself. Very cool. So thank you to Alex for that response.
Alexander Sequard wrote, I love the whole book almost entirely. It's exactly what Superman in my eyes should be. I could bother you with Lex finally seeing the light at the end, Pa Kent dying, Superman and Lois kissing on the moon, Superman escaping Bizarro's world. It was difficult to pick just one scene, but I suppose the scene that actually impressed me the most and moved me the most the very first time I read the book was the scene with Reagan about to commit suicide. Just a few kind words full of hope and a warm presence to feel secure, and that's it. Wow.
Yes, that is a very iconic scene that always gets posted online, especially on social media. So, it was not a surprise to see somebody choose that. So, thank you to those three people for responding to the fan favorite segment of our show. What is our new question for this week, Mike?
Oh, what did you think of the Flash trailer?
Yeah, and what was your favorite part of the Flash trailer? Get involved.
Oh, did I read that wrong?
Did I write?
Yeah, what was your favorite part of the new Flash trailer?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It is called the fan favorite segment, so I have to get the word favorite in there somewhere. So, yes, what's your favorite part of the new trailer for the Flash movie? Let us know. Was there a particular scene, a particular image from that trailer? The email address is scrolling across the bottom of your screen now. info@supermanhomepage.com. Get involved with the fan favorite segment, and we'll read out the responses that we get when we return to this segment next week. There we have it. So that was the fan favorite segment. Get involved, folks. All right, moving along. I mentioned that there's been a lack of comic book material available for Superman fans of late. We usually, jump on this point in the show and tell you about comic books that you can read this week for Superman fans. To be honest, there isn't anything. There's not even a trade, not even a hardcover collection, no issue out this week. We are in that holding pattern of waiting for the new era, the new wave of comic books to start, the dawn of DC. Next week, we will get Superman #1, the new series that's starting. But this week, there is no new Superman comic book, which is kind of takes me back to those skip weeks back in the day of the Triangle era.
Yeah. I mean, it's just we're about to have an embarrassment of riches, but we just got to go through this period of kind of like the wilderness until stuff starts coming out. I mean, I'm really looking forward to Superman #1 next week, and the next issue of Action Comics, and then in March we've got the John Kent series premiering.
Yep, exactly. So as I said, heaps of stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, it's just such a. It is feast or famine for us as Superman fans. It really is. Like we can't ever have consistently, like it's never like Batman where stuff's coming out all the time.
All the time.
So, but that's just fanboy complaining and nitpickery, as I was complaining about earlier.
If you want to look like on the bright side of things, it does mean that we don't have to spend as much as Batman fans because there are so many titles available.
Yeah, well, that is very fair, and I kind of like that too. I really do.
Now, speaking of Superman #1 that comes out next week, there are a multitude of variant covers and some specialty covers that are exclusive to particular outlets. This is a blue foil logo exclusive that has already sold out at Big Time Collectibles, bigtimecollectibles.com, I believe it is. It was a blue foil variant that sold out within hours of them releasing it on the 20th or whenever it was last week. This comes out on the 21st of the 2nd, but gone. Blue foil version sold out.
That is such a weird variant.
believe there are other foil
there's
colored
not even
versions. Like there's a silver one. I think there's a red one.
Yeah, they did the same thing for the Death of Superman 30th anniversary special, which is where I drew the line, which is surprising to me, in all honesty. But no, I just like I look at that and I'm like, wow, like what do you get out of a blue foil cover with an S on it? I mean, at least like the other variants have like interesting artwork. But it just seems like this is our attempt to print money. That's what that feels like, and especially the picture you showed where it was already slabbed. I mean, of all the things to slab, I'm sorry.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, if you were interested, sorry folks, it's sold out already. But more interesting memorabilia and collectibles are available and coming soon. McFarlane Toys released a sneak peek at their upcoming Project Superman action figure. This is similar to what we just saw for the Supergirl on the Flash trailer. This was a version. This is from the Flashpoint series, where this Superman Kal-El was captured by the U.S. government and was kept underground in a secure facility away from the rays of the yellow sun. That's why he looks so undernourished. And he eventually escapes and what have you, but he wasn't raised by the Kents and was captured by the US government. This is the second in a wave from the To Build a Wave series exclusive to Target stores in the US. And I think you build, when you get the different all the 4 figures from this wave, you build a cyborg figure.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I'm so picky with these things now. It's really got to be a figure that almost means something to me.
Yeah.
For me to want to pick it up. I wasn't a real big fan of the Flashpoint story anyway. I finally read it last year because I had never finished it, and I realized that I was like, why did I never finish it? And then I read it. I was like, oh, that's why I never finished it, because it's just such a reminder of how mean that era of comics was. I mean, it was
brutal.
It was like cruel to the point of almost being absurd. And that version of and all of these like big crossovers of that time period really didn't include Superman in any kind of meaningful way.
Yeah.
Blackest Night really didn't. Final Crisis obviously did. But like Flashpoint and what was that called? Forever Evil, which came out a couple years after that. It just always seemed like Superman was being sidelined. And then the version of Superman, from Flashpoint, it was just like this is what would happen if the government kept him, like under lock and key. And I'm just like, this is an interesting story, but it became the engine in which they rebooted the universe. So I get why they're making figures of it. Fans love this sort of thing. I think I'm gonna probably leave that one on the shelf if it even gets to the shelf. If they're not like selling it out the back door.
It's not one that, like, when you display it, that people go, "Oh, how good does that look?" It's like, "What's that?" People who don't know the story will be going, "What's that action figure? Why do you have that one?"
It's like the Warworld figure.
Yes. Needs a lot of explaining.
That's like an impressive figure, at least. It's just like, okay, why is Superman dressed like that? And the answer now is because Lois really likes it, apparently. No, I mean, it's just like, that isn't to say that McFarlane isn't putting out some stuff. They've got a Superboy figure that I'm looking forward to. They've got an Eradicator figure. I'm really hoping that we get a Cyborg, Superman, and a Steel at some point down the road as well. But it's just like, this is the one I looked at. I saw that earlier today on Twitter, and I'm like, that's, like $25 I won't have to spend.
Yep, there you have it. Now, one that was announced back in 2021 that just seemed to take forever to be released was this Superman Deluxe box set Fleischer.
Yeah.
Mechanical Monsters, Mezco Toys announced it back in 2021, and it was available for pre-order for forever. And now, finally, this month in February 2023, it's being released and being delivered. So, yeah, this was bizarre that it took so long, but it's finally being released this month. It's got Superman, Clark Kent, Lois Lane, the Mechanical Monster number 5. Their accessories like the notebook, the steno pad, interchangeable arms for both Superman and the Mechanical Monster, propeller attachment for the Mechanical Monster, and display bases and more. So it's bizarre that it took so long, but it's finally coming out this month, and you can pre-order it through our website for $79.99 US.
That's actually worth that. We usually complain at this point in the show how everything's so expensive. It's like a statue that's limited to 5, and you've got to give your DNA for it, to be put in something so that future society can, you'll be cloned or whatever. But $80 for all of that. It's a really nice setup. It's got backgrounds. It's got Clark Kent and Lois Lane, which is really cool. I'd really like I have one of my subset of Superman action figures is Golden Agey Superman figures. So the New Frontier figure, they had that first appearance figure that had the cloth cape that has that creepy Christopher Reeve head.
Yes.
And then they redid that body with Earth 2 Superman with the white sideburns, and then for that box set that I finally got my hands on, they kind of did the best of all worlds with it and did a really nice Golden Age Superman one. I'd really like a Fleischer one to put with that, of that size. But if I have an extra $80, I may actually pick this thing up.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good collection. So it's available, as I said, through our website. You can find the links at supermanhomepage.com. And yes, the Fleischer cartoons are in the public domain, but Superman is still obviously a character that is copyright to Warner Brothers and DC Comics, so you can't just go creating your own Fleischer Superman figures and selling them, because the name Superman is still copyright to Warner Brothers and DC.
That's getting a little too cute.
Yes, exactly. But that pretty much brings us to the end of tonight's show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to Superman Homepage Live. Appreciate you joining us for the past hour and spending that time with us. Thank you to heaps of people in the comments: Capes, Tights and Lightsabers, Nostalgic Pod Blast, Butts and Enterprises, JP Rocha, Geiger, so many others that I can't go through. But
Virginia.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Heaps of people there. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate your participation in the show. Be sure to join us next week on Monday, February... what will be the 20th? Yes, Monday, February 20th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time for another edition of Superman Homepage Live. For those who celebrate it, happy Valentine's Day for tomorrow or today, depending on where you are in the world. And... Michael and I will be back next week for another edition of Superman Homepage Live. I hope you'll join us then. Until then, thank you to our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. And thank you to you, my co-host, Michael Bailey. Thanks, Mike.
Pleasure as always, Steve.
Be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey. Thanks for watching Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by supermanhomepage.com. Good night.